Alright, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nabil, and today we're going to do something just a little bit different. And I guess I really mean that because we haven't flown together in 2 months, 3 months, a long time, a whole hell of a long time. And that's, of course, mostly my fault. I mean, you're to blame a little bit, but it's mostly me. And the reason for that is, as you know, we just recently had a daughter and bought a house and moved and did all that jazz. But I also, in the past week, have accepted a new job, or excuse me, in the past 3 weeks. So I was, of course, really busy with work. We were trying to do a new disaster recovery solution, and as the network administrator, that was a big part of my job was to facilitate that. And of course, over the past couple of weeks, once I was offered a new job, I didn't apply for it. They just approached me and said, "Hey, let's give you money," and I said, "Of course, I like money, so I'll take it." We I basically had to finish up 8 months of work. Um, in almost no time at all, just to make sure I didn't accidentally screw my friends at my old job. So think I think I want this to be our standard. That okay, good. So what we're gonna do today is we are at a non-existent airport actually. We are at Fairholt, which doesn't really exist. It's so in let's see, if I do textured, will it show it decently well? So this is actually a country club now. It used to be an airport, but now it's always been a country club, but it used to have an airstrip. Now, however, it's just a country club. I guess technically the airstrip still exists for emergencies, but it's not used at all. And so the place that I usually fly out of is right here. And of course, I don't know if this one actually exists either, but this is actually VT-22. This is some other shit, I believe. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off here. We're gonna fly down by my house, which is up in this area. And once we overfly my house, we are going to come in, do a touch and go at KBTV. We're going to take off again. We may sort of screw around out here a little bit. Maybe we'll attempt to do some, turns around a point or something. And then we're going to come back over here to Shelburne and land. Sound good? Good. But to do that, there are a couple of things that we need to sort of look at and talk about before we can actually fly. The biggest thing that we need to realize or notice is that it's very windy. How windy? Well, you're going to find out in a minute, because we're going to turn this on and we're going to get Burlington weather. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave this off. It'll be, I think, fun for you guys. It's definitely the kind of day where carb icing is a real concern. And we're going to give the game a chance to, definitely going to turn on our pitot heat, nav, bacon, and I guess taxi lights because we're going to taxi. I expect that we will experience carb icing during this
Burlington
flight.
International Information Juliet.
So let's listen to the weather.
1700 Zulu weather. Sky conditions 5,000 scattered, 9,000 broken, 11,000 overcast, visibility 10. Temperature 8, dew point -9. Wind 180 at 14, altimeter 3018. Arriving and departing runways 15, 19.
So, in case you didn't just hear that, it's windy. It's not gusty, but it's very windy. Went ahead and set our went ahead and set our squawk to 1200, which is VFR, which is basically telling Burlington International that, you know, we don't want to play their game today. Of course, we're in their airspace, and so in the real world we would have to play their game, but this is not the real world, and air traffic control in X-Plane is unfortunately not great, and by not great I mean terrible. So we have a headwind now. Let's see if we can... Yeah, I'm lined up real well, I know. There you go. Nice, strong headwind. That's all kinds of knots. Lots and lots of knots. Which means that's the way we want to be pointed when we take off. And let's see, does this have the little line for takeoff? I believe it's like there. But let's see if I remember correctly. So we're gonna go ahead and face ourselves down the runway. Give her a little bit of gas. By a little bit of gas, I mean full throttle. Flaps 1. And Jesus, we are up. Doesn't feel like we're very up though, does it? There we go. Talk about poorly trimmed. Jesus. Alright, we're gonna do this by hand because our trim is all kinds of screwed up. There we go, climbing at 70 knots. Alright, and now we're going to come around and head north. We fly over, this is probably South Burlington technically. Nice leisurely bank. We're probably about as high as I want us to go. Actually, we're higher than I wanted to go, to be fair. So I'm going to trim the nose down a little bit as we fly over Burlington. So one of the cool features that was just added to X-Plane is the ability to have data references get read for scenery loading. But Nabil, what the hell does that mean? Because that sounds dumb. Well, I agree. And once I get, let's see, I want to be at 2,100 RPMs. There we go. And I'm gonna trim it for level flight. And there we go. Beautiful things are happening. Well, not quite level. I should also... There we go. That's not bad. So, the data ref thing that I just mentioned, I'm going to leave that on. What that means is we can tell the game to load different different scenery based on season. Which means now I finally can have autumn trees. And we're going to go ahead and use the rudder to bank it left just a little bit. We're going to swing out to the west. We're going to follow the shore. And there isn't really an aircraft carrier there in real life. I don't know why the game has decided that there should be one there, but that's fine. We are now flying over... Let's see. Of course, none of you actually care. But I believe that this is Battery Park underneath us. Which means the airport should be, yep, right there. And now we're going to go ahead and... Let's see, are we still... No, we are descending. We are ascending. So I'm going to head and bank just a little bit. Because we want to come around till we are pointed more or less at Burlington International. flying here. I like it better in real life, but... Alright, and there is beautiful Burlington International Airport. And we're just gonna sort of gently meander our way in there. I'm not quite lined up, but that's okay. There's enough wind that it should be okay. Yeah, they said they were landing 15 and 19, correct?
Burlington International Information, Juliet.
1519.
1700 Zulu weather.
Alright, so we're at 15. The wind is from 14. So this is just about right. And now we are too high. We are above our glide slope. That's okay. How do you fix it? You chop the throttle. To be fair, I'm pretty sure that my instructor would have whooped my ass for not already being at flaps 1 here. And so, there we go, we're in the white arc, flaps 1. Still a bit high, that's okay. We can fix that. What's our descent rate? Yep, we're descending a little bit quick, but that's good because we want to reconnect with our intended glide slope. Alright, I'm just going to throttle it back all the way. And I'm going to go to flaps 2. Center line. Alright, we're gonna come up, we're gonna end up being a bit long on this, but that'll be okay. We're gonna trim it up. Not lined up at all. Flaps 3. Chop the throttle. Luckily, it's a Cessna, so it's pretty hard to fuck this up. Oh, and now we are descending too fast, so just a little bit more throttle. There we go. And basically no throttle. And up. Alright, we're on the ground. Let's go ahead and bring our flaps back up. And... alright, we should be at... we are not at all at the right altitude. This should be... that's a lot of wind. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and take off again. And up we go. Get up to about 800 feet. We're going to go ahead and come left, climbing at 70 knots. Hello, tower. And 800 feet. Go ahead and come left. Still over the air guard. It's cold, and so 70 knots is... it's aggressive. And I would get yelled at for doing what I'm doing, but that's okay. Oh shit. Alright, and the runway is right there. Perfect. So we want to stay at about 1,200 feet. So we're going to trim it back for level flight. And midfield, so we're going to go to flaps 1. And I'm still ascending. Of course, if I was actually in the plane, he would be yelling at me for trim. But I don't have a real trim wheel. All I have is, you know, an analog slider that I'm using. And quick screenshot. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. And back inside the airplane. Let's pretend that I'm, you know, not an idiot. Alright, so we are at the correct altitude, past the end of the runway. So I'm going to go ahead and bank, reduce throttle. And of course the problem here is that it's super hard to see my instruments. I kind of need them. See? No instruments. I get the feeling that I'm turning too tightly. I am. I did not do a very good job with this, but that's okay. I can still effect a nice, safe landing. I'm about 500 feet above ground. And I should have already started my turn, but that's okay. Because in a Cessna 172, it will save you from your own fuck-ups. Alright, flaps 2, throttle back, flaps 3, flaps 3, I guess is flaps full. And let's see if we can't line this up appropriately this time. And yes, I am above the glide slope again. That's okay. I think we're going to be able to do this. Yep, right on the glide slope. This is just so much more runway than we need for this airplane. Oh shit. Fucking with my trim and I pulled up. I shouldn't have. That's okay. Maybe more runway than we need, but it's not going to be more runway than we use, apparently. And as always, I am right on that center line. Right there, just right underneath my fucking wingtip. And I'm just floating, because you know what's fun? Floating. Alright, and... chirp chirp. Alright, flaps up. Probably shouldn't have taken my stick, or my hand off of the stick, but that's okay. I'm rusty. I'm allowed to be stupid a little bit. Okay, and 70 knots, and we know we can climb at 70, so let's do it. Fucking trim. And hello, tower. And show me 800. There we go. Let's go ahead and bank right. We're going to head back to Shelburne. Boop-a-doop. Wait, we said we were going to do, like, turns around a point, maybe? I gotta say, that seems pretty unlikely at this point, but I just wanted to get back in the air. Alright, it's nice and clean. So, in real life, the landmarks I would use are a giant fucking white barn somewhere in front of me. But since this isn't real life, I think the airport is, like, here. We're gonna see if we can find it. And you know what? Not a fucking bit of carb icing. That surprises me. It's really surprising to me. Left rudder to correct that drift. And I gotta say, this really does feel a lot like flying the the plane I practice on, 657. And it doesn't feel exactly like it, right? I can't actually feel anything, but it feels a lot like it. In real life, I know it's before these hills. It's in here somewhere. I think in real life, actually, it's like right there-ish. Of course, I can't tell. So what does that mean? It means we get to fly over and see what we can see. Come on. Feels like we're descending. I know we're not. We're actually doing a decent job for once at flying in some semblance of straight and level flight. But so naturally, I've got my hand on the stick and I'm fucking with it. Good job, Nabil. So let's see. I think it should be in this field, but I just not seeing it. Oh, there it is. There it is. Alright. That should be it. So let's see. They said the wind is coming from the south. So we're gonna go ahead and come in like this. We're actually gonna start our descent way out here. So that's the, sort of right in front of our compass is the runway that doesn't actually exist. And then, let's see, flaps 1. That's another one that I don't think exists. Remember, in real life, yeah, shelter, right here. So in real life, this doesn't actually exist, this doesn't actually exist, and this does, but it's VT22. Make sense? Good. Come on, catch up, computer. So that one doesn't exist. That one doesn't exist. And that one does. And I gotta tell you, if you look, you'll actually see some of the flights that I've done into and out of this airport, and I've had a couple of moments where I was terrified. Of course, my second flight, I only had 45 minutes in my logbook, and it was gusty and windy. We must have had 30 knot winds. I'm sure it wasn't actually that high, but it felt it. And, we were coming into land, And as we came over the trees at the end of this runway, the wind shifted, and I dropped a wing. And that had to have been the most terrifying thing I've ever done. Just when you're not expecting it, and I don't know, it was legitimately scary. And of course now I watch the video and I'm like, I don't even know why I was scared. It was not a big deal. But you know, the feeling while I was actually doing it was intense. And I guess I don't really want to line up the lights. I want to line up that little green patch between them. Flaps 2, flaps full, trim, reduce throttle, 60 knots is okay. Come on, don't hit a tree, don't hit a tree, don't descend like that. There we go. That's a bit gooder. Alright, let's bring it home. And now this time, instead of being too far to the left of the runway, I'm too far to the right. But whatever. I'm actually going to rebuild this runway, I think, this airport. I'm not going to, you know, up. I'm not going to re-record this video before I do, but let's give it a little bit more. I don't like how short we are. And now we're too high, so we need to get it down. And well, that would have been terrifying, but it wouldn't have killed us. A little bit of chirp from the stall horn, and then we were down. Alright, let's clean up our configuration. Now, in real life, there's a shed right there that I park next to. But of course this isn't real life. Like I said, I need to rebuild this. So I think we're just going to taxi over to the random lights in the middle of the field. Jesus. It's not actually that bumpy here. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching me fly today. It's been a while since I've done it, and I'm sure that I didn't meet your exacting standards. But you know what? I had a lot of fun, and it's good to be back in the game. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you next time.